Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
And never fear, because I am here.
Believe that. Brilliant. And there you are, indeed, back in Narnia, mate. The wardrobe's back.
Yeah. I hate to burst your bubble, mate, but it's actually a different wardrobe. I mean, it looks very similar to the previous one, but no, this is Narnia 2.0. This is the sequel to the wardrobe. And as I'm saying this, people probably have no idea. If they haven't been with DrewlingSamantics since like early days, that probably means absolutely nothing. It sounds like we're talking more nonsense than we usually are. But do you want to do the honours and explain?
To explain and catch you up, guys up. Earlier this year, Sam was on tour with in Norfolk with Reflex Theatre Company, where he is again now, about to embark on a new tour. I was actually in Coventry, and we were recording from our respective digs.
Yes.
I'm back at home on the Sofa of Dreams, but Sam is back on tour in his digs. And I have to say, it's deja vu, because you could have, if you'd have said that was the same room, I would have believed you.
But yeah.
Behind Sam, similar. There is a wardrobe, as there should be in every respectable bedroom in digs. It looks exactly like the wardrobe you sat in front of last time.
It genuinely does. And
well, it is.
Just to clarify, when you say you were in Coventry, that's not that I wasn't speaking to you. You were genuinely in the place called
I was
Coventry.
Genuinely in the city of Coventry, yes.
You were. In your corridor, as we call it.
I was in the corridor of dreams rather than the sofa of dreams.
Yes, yeah. And I was visiting Narnia with my wardrobe. But as it turns out, I'm in a different room. Same digs, with the same lovely lady. But yeah, no, it is a different wardrobe. But anyway, we've spent half a podcast nearly talking about wardrobes and Narnia. And
could I also make another wardrobe comment, please?
You can make a wardrobe comment if you must. Yes.
Talking of wardrobe, where's your shirt?
I've just clicked. Yes, right. So okay. So for those who know me well, my memory has limitations. If I've gone over my lines a million times and once they're inground in my head, great, just regurgitate them away. But in normal life, trying to remember things, not quite my best skill, I would say.
Okay.
So I set out to come on tour and I thought, right, what am I doing while I'm away? Well, I'm away for 5 or 6 weeks and we'll still be podcasting because nothing stops DrewlingSamantics going ahead. So I take my sign. Well, I can't really take my sign because I don't know if I'll be able to hang it up. But what I will do, what I will 100% make sure that I do without fail is pack my DrewlingSamantics polo top. Yeah, what's the famous line? The best.
The last thing I must do is forget my shirt, and the last thing you did was to forget your shirt.
Yeah, exactly. I was going along the literary, the best laid plans of mice and men oft kin awry. I can't say that it's a best laid plan. It was a laid out shirt ready to put in the suitcase, but yeah. So now I have to confess, here I am not wearing my DrewlingSamantics top. I do not have my DrewlingSamantics sign behind me. And I've even upgraded my wardrobe to Wardrobe 2.0, Narnia, the Second Coming. Aside from that, everything's great.
Everything.
And I'll tell you what I have got. I have a beverage.
I think I've already flashed mine a couple of times to those on YouTube, but there we are. The DrewlingSamantics mug is out.
Cheers, everyone, from lovely Norfolk.
Cheers, everyone, from lovely Sofa in Ealing. There we go.
Well, yes, indeed. But anyway, mate, how have you been? All right.
Very good. I mean, as everyone knows, we are zooming towards Halloween, so we've got a Halloween event coming up. and when they were zooming towards Christmas.
Yeah.
So we've got Christmas is happening, where plans and production are moving on. Very, very busy, but not too busy to have a little bit of a look at what's been going on in the world of entertainment.
Oh, excellent. Well, let's dive straight in then, mate. What have you got for us this week?
Well, I couldn't not mention the sad loss of two theatre, film, entertainment greats. The wonderful Dame Angela Lansbury. I mean, she has graced our screens, our stages, both, you know, her voice, her singing. What can you say about her? She was, and you know, I don't like the word icon, but she was iconic, and you know, she was amazing. I mean, and you know, we were talking about a little while about the longevity of actors and how they keep going. Well, you know, it was 96.
Yeah,
that
96
is, you know,
years old.
What? And I mean, and I look back, I had a little look back and Googled some of her early movies and stuff, and she's been in some amazing stuff. But I have to say, I mean, a great, wonderful actress, and what a beautiful woman, you know. Absolutely. Grace, elegance, talent, and beauty. She had it all right up to the very end.
Yeah, just superb. And I know where you're going, because she's not the only one, sadly, that since we last did a You and I episode that has sadly been taken from us.
We lost the wonderful Robbie Coltrane as well, who I mean, again, what can you say? I mean, he just seems to have always been there. And a fabulous actor, fabulous personality. I first saw him, he did a series called Tutti Frutti, and with Emma Thompson, and they played they were on tour with a band, and he was curmudgeonly, miserable, she was bright and perky, and you knew they were going to fall in love, and eventually they fell in love. But boy, could that guy sing. You know, there was a man who could sing, and you saw him in very dark stuff like Cracker. And just like, I mean, he appealed to everybody, because like Angela Lansbury, she had a huge following with her performances and her vocal performances in Disney. And her Disney films. And of course, Robbie Coltrane is going to be forever remembered as Hagrid in Harry Potter. You know,
I just think they are both quite timeless. Him particularly because he ended up as part of a franchise and playing what I would argue is probably one of the most beloved characters in one of the biggest, if not the biggest, franchise of all time. Sorry, Star Wars and James Bond.
No, you're right.
Lovers, but I would argue Harry Potter has possibly surpassed them these days, just with how far it's reached. And to play one of the characters who just no one could dislike, and play it so well, absolutely spot on. Now,
did you see anyone else? You couldn't see anyone else do it, could you?
No, and now, you know, and I've possibly mentioned before that I like millions grew up reading the books, and I'm much more of a fan of the books than the movies. Personal choice, obviously, the books appeal more. There's a lot more content in the books. We're obviously aware that you cannot put everything into a film. It's just not possible. Because, I mean, look at Lord of the Rings. That took 3 films, and they still missed loads of stuff because they had to. They just physically couldn't fit it all in. So to do Harry Potter, as was written, nigh on impossible. And I'm a big believer that when you read something, you create this image in your mind of that character. And that's why, and a lot of my friends know this, and I think I've mentioned to you before, I, as best I can, will avoid watching a movie of something before I've read the book, because I want to gauge my own, create my own characters, see those images in my mind. I have to say, there are a lot of characters in the Harry Potter films that I look at and go, well, that's not what I envisaged at all, or I don't think you're true to the book. Not their fault. It's down to direction and what they're able to do. I'm not saying it's a negative. However, count on one hand a very few people who perhaps nailed it, or as I expected it to be, Robbie Coltrane right up there.
Beautiful, wasn't it?
Beautiful. He was absolutely superb, perfect as Hagrid. And actually, a really weird one, a performance that stood out in my mind that he did was he was in one of the Ocean's films. Do you remember?
I do. Yes.
Was it Ocean's 13? Possibly.
I can't remember the number, but I do remember the other. I don't remember the character.
And he played. He played this almost mysterious character, but just he was such a superb actor, just absolutely brilliant.
He cropped up all over the place, just like very much like Angela Lansbury. I mean, you know, they were ubiquitous. They were there. You grow up with them, and we've loved them. And yeah, great, sad loss. But you know, they will live on. You know, we will be watching them and listening to them for years to come. Years to come. You know,
absolutely. But so yeah, two sad losses. And can we just say that we hope we're not jinxing things, because we spent an episode talking about the people that have been around for a long time and are just incredible actors, and then sadly we lose two of those long stayers. Like, if we have to not talk about those things to save the world, then we might have to do that.
I might just mention an actor that I greatly admire and has been a huge presence is Derek Jacobi, who made a statement this week, which I found interesting.
Okay.
Because it's a subject that a lot of actors that spend a lot of time on stage fear. And he played back in 2016. He played Mercutio as a long in the tooth, older, more sardonic. If you could get more sardonic than Mercutio. But he said there was occasions where he would stand in the wings and would be almost overwhelmed by the idea of going on. And he said it wasn't exactly stage fright. It was a fear of not being good enough or competent. Okay. And he felt that the audience, if you went on with that, the audience would see that. So he has stepped back and said that was his last time on stage. And we know that he's gone on to have, you know, make some amazing films and television shows and stuff. But he said it was very interesting because he found that so daunting that, you know, not only the playing of the character, but the actual physically going, I'm not good enough. And I find that fearful, because I think, I hope that doesn't happen to me, but also how very brave and how very professional of someone to go, I don't want to go on stage and the audience suss me as being a bit off, you know, and not being up to the job. So he stepped back.
I wonder if that potentially is age related as well, sort of a stop in your prime kind of thing, and be remembered at the top of your game. Obviously, he will continue to do film, but from a theatre perspective, perhaps he goes, I nailed it, and I want to go, do you know what? I don't want to tarnish that in any way. Perhaps.
It could be. I mean, I you know, that it may well have been in the back of his mind, but the idea that he said, I don't think I'm up to it any longer, I'm not going to go on and cock it up. I mean, I think although he did go on to say further in the article that I was reading that he said, I mean, let's face it, film and TV play much better, and you can do it over and over again until you get it right. And I thought, there's an actor who knows what he's talking about. You know?
we might have alluded to that once or twice as well. That there's a bit of a disparity between the two, but it's and interesting that you mentioned Derek Jacobi, because I read something. I say interesting, a bit of news. So Derek Jacobi did a fantastic piece of work with someone who we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Sir Ian McKellen. Just brilliant, just perfect stage screen pairing. I mean, they perfect, brilliant. But the link that I see there is that we talked about Ian McKellen. I was going to say coming out of retirement. It's not what I meant. Coming back to Panto, having sort of stepped away from Panto for like 15, 16 years or something like that. Yeah. And he is set to do Mother Goose. But it was announced this week that Mel Gedroych, who was supposed to be playing the lead, has sadly pulled out due to personal reasons. So there's no more information on that, but it sounds like there will be another lead in the Mother Goose Panto. We can only hope that whatever's going on with Mel, that everything gets better and it returns to do whatever very soon. But yeah, so just a little thing that I read and I thought you might find interesting, seeing as we'd talked about it specifically not that long ago. So.
Well, that's dealt with some sad news. Let's on to brighter things, mate. you are there, as I say, in back in Narnia, stroke 2,
Yeah.
in Norfolk, back working with our wonderful friend Calendar and
Yes.
with Reflex. How's it going? You've been there just a few days now, so
yeah, it's super. We're end of our first week rehearsals. We've got a couple more weeks of rehearsals and then a couple of weeks of touring performances, more educational theatre. Quite a heavy subject, actually. So the previous tour, we had Callan, Mr. Durrant on again back, well, when I was here last, I think.
Yeah. Earlier this year.
Do you know what? No, I think we had him on, and then he also featured in one of our episodes, actually, didn't he? So
he did.
But he's appeared a couple of times. He's one of the few who have reappeared on Drewling Samantics, and probably will again in the future as well. But he owns Reflex Theatre, who create, amongst other things, educational theatre. And last time we were touring a show that was all about addiction and substance abuse, and the dangers of that. This time round, it's an even, if you like, darker subject, or an even sort of more intense in a way. We're dealing with relationships, manipulation, and basically, well, the piece is called Trust Me, and it's all about abuse of trust and how certain relationships can take on a negative form. Now, it sounds very dark and horrible. It's a very, very important subject, obviously. And we've been lucky enough to talk to lots of people. We spoke to Nick Benjamin about some heavy stuff he's written. We had Dave Bain on the show, and he talked about some of the stuff he's written that's got some very heavy topics. Again, this is the same sort of thing, but in this instance, we're sort of targeting young adolescents or people in their teens, because it's so prevalent and so appropriate for them to learn these things, not before it's too late, but at the right time, basically. So yeah, it's a hugely rewarding job to be part of. What I have noticed, and what fortunately I said know Callum very well, and he's a brilliant director and producer. He is hugely supportive. What I have noticed is the character I play is very dark. He's not a nice person. He does some not nice things. I'm not going to go too much into it because it's not that necessary, but essentially there's a huge abuse of trust, and he is a person in a position of power who has some very negative ideas and behaviors. I found it a huge challenge to play this character. Number one, because well, it's a simple fact, I am nothing like him at all, thankfully.
Yes.
So which is where becoming an actor is kind of the thing. Digging a hole here, get yourself out, Sam. I know what I mean. Essentially, sometimes acting, you can base real life experiences to influence what you do. There is no way I can possibly do this in this scenario, because it just isn't true. So it's something that is semi-research based, but equally something that I've got to kind of almost imagine another place and become a different person for. And we very recently did some character development, and a lot of the characters, we can look at their backstory and why they behave in the way they do and stuff. I didn't want to do that with my character, because actually the discussion we sort of had, and hopefully Callum doesn't hate me for revealing secrets. I'm not revealing secrets, but some of our processes. But I didn't want this character to have a backstory of any shape or kind, really, because I didn't want anyone to use anything to make any excuses for how he is. That's not saying that people who do bad things might do them, they may well do them because of what's happened to them in their life, but equally that doesn't necessarily mean you should treat it as an excuse or allow forgiveness due to something, particularly in this case where this is a horrible man who does very not nice things to someone who looks up to him, someone young who looks up to him. So I didn't want to develop the character in that respect, because I felt that could give an opportunity for audiences to kind of go, well, but and I don't want it to be a but. I want it to
I
be
see what
point
you're
blank.
saying.
He is not a good person.
Yeah.
There is no forgiveness. We need to look at him negatively, particularly because it's a hugely influential group of people that we're performing to, in that they are young adults who are still learning about the world and it's still experiencing these things.
Do you think if there was, for want of a better phrase, a reason for his behavior, that would lessen the power of what you're saying, lessen the power of the message?
Yeah.
Or
I think there's a twofold answer to that. I think initially it's, number one, there is no excuse for what he does.
for
Like,
what his
literally,
behavior? I get that.
So super bad man.
Yeah.
But equally, you say, would it lessen it? Yeah, I think perhaps it would then take the onus perhaps off what he's doing, if you then look at why he's doing it, and you're looking beyond. I don't think that is necessary to be there. And this is something that is being developed heavily, and we've got huge support as a team of each other, and looking out for each other. And we are doing rehearsals and preparing for things in such a way that there is always constant support and everyone feels totally safe, even though it is quite dark subject matter. And I think that's a very, very important thing in this industry, that you have to feel you have the support and you feel safe. I mean, going slightly off topic, I worked with a fantastic actor on a film a couple of years ago, can't remember when we were filming. And in that film, I had to do a particular scene where I got very, very angry and very aggressive, and held another actor up against the door and shouted at him, and very, very sort of violent behavior without an actual altercation per se. There was no punches thrown or any kind of fighting, but it was very physical, very intense. And one of the other actors, who actually wasn't in that scene, came to me and he said, "I'm watching what you're doing. It's fantastic, but take a breather. Like, you've done lots of takes. Now sit and have a moment, because you cannot allow yourself to get to a point where you are overly immersed and it becomes almost dangerous. It becomes overwhelming, I guess, is what he said. And that really stuck with me. It's a moment that's massively stuck with me. And I've been lucky enough that I've had support on everything I've done, and an amazing kind of network around me whenever I've done a piece like I'm doing now, or like I refer to there. And I think it's hugely important to have those kind of options, to discuss things, to plan things, to make sure that that everything is completely and utterly safe and dealt with in the right way. I mean, I'm sure you far surpass me in your years of experience. Have you had similar sort of things where you've played characters that are really kind of deep and dark?
There's two to answer to two things that you were saying. You've heard me talk about it before. People have maybe heard me talk about a play called Strictly Murder, which I did 3 or 4 years ago, playing a character called Joseph, who is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. We know now, we recognize it now. You wouldn't have known it. Maybe you would call it shock or amnesia, whatever. A long story short, he was in a concentration camp during the period of the beginning of the Nazi occupation or the takeover of Germany. He escapes. He has seen some terrible things. He has been to some very dark places. He has lost his family. And through the course of the play, you slowly learn that's where he's been. That's what he's seen. And you know, if you didn't know that, if you met Joseph, as he's wandering around the countryside with, a couple of rabbits strung on his belt and a shotgun over his arm, you'd think he was probably the local village idiot. You stay out of his way because he's slightly scary. You can't judge him. You think he was either dangerous, mad, or whatever. You actually, in the end, you go, good Lord, that's his journey, And in researching that, I can't go to those places. I did a research on the internet. I went to some very dark places on the internet, dark history of concentration camps and the like. And I based my character on utter disbelief. The reason he is so shocked is because, and if you think about it, people who have been through that never recovered, not necessarily from what people have never, if you've seen things like that, you'll never get over that. And I sat there in front of my computer screen going, I can't believe that. And I got upset. And I remember those moments of being upset and disturbed. And I thought, that's where his character lies. Yeah. He's upset, he's disturbed times 100-fold. That's where I sort of started with. And that's where that happens. I forgot the other little storyline I was going to say, but it's playing those dark characters. Like you say, you have to kind of walk away, leave it. And if you think about, that was what I was going to say, the method actors who stay within character, I mean, you say you base things on personal experience. You can only go so far as that, because if you're holding a gun and you're going to shoot someone and you say, I'll base that on personal experience, well, surely
something's gone wrong there.
Yeah, you've never held a gun and shot someone. You can only find the darkest possible place to go and then come back from that. And it's I remember I'm doing some of the thrillers I've done, that the thriller season, and they are heightened bits of drama. They are dramatic, melodramatic, but you are holding a gun sometimes. I've done dozens of scenes where you're holding a gun at someone, or you just poisoned someone. And in the back of your mind, you go, hang on a minute, hang on. We're treating this in a wry smile kind of melodramatic way, but I've just killed someone, or I'm holding a gun. And those little moments, people say afterwards, well, cool, you really were quite scary. And I thought in the back of my head, going, this is scary. This should be scary. Don't care how melodramatic it is. That has got to be bloody scary,
Yeah,
but
I think actually you've kind of voiced something that perhaps I was thinking but didn't eloquent, is that the word? Didn't say. That yes, I got nowhere to go for personal experience, and research is limited because some of these things you don't necessarily even want to have in yourself.
No, you can't.
No. But it is the thought, or knowing the outcome, or knowing what's coming, or knowing what this character does. The horror of that helps me to get to the point I need to be to portray that character.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, it's something that I read something recently about, and I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, you should check it out if you can stomach it. The incredible new Netflix series, Jeffrey Dahmer, about Jeffrey Dahmer.
I haven't, but
it's really, really dark, harrowing, horrible, because essentially it's a true story. There are some slight adjustments and things cinematically, because that's what you do when you take a true story and then you create a filmic version of it. It's not a documentary, it's based on true events, but you have to make it work as a series or as a film. But Evan Peters plays the lead, and he is unbelievable. He is creepy, he is horrible, but he is, and I've read an article of him talking about doing it and saying just how horrible the role was, and how he had to go to some very dark places to be that accurate. And he said something very similar again, that he used the horror of the reality to drive him to the right place for the character. And he too, not to make comparisons between myself and him, because well, I'd love to be in his position in Hollywood. Anyway, but he too said that he owes a lot to the crew and the people surrounding him for supporting him, helping him through things, and just being there and making it feel safe, despite how horrible some of the stuff they were creating was.
I'm the other story, and that reflects back on what I was going to say. The other character I played, and it was a very brief appearance in a film, but I had to do a rape scene. I was playing a rapist, and again, I think I might have mentioned this in the past, but this reflects what we're talking about now. The actress I was working, we spent some time together. We filmed at night. We were on this night shoot, and I said, this is going to be, and it was there wasn't much dialogue. It was physically, displayed on screen. And we spent a lot of time together talking through it. And I say, well, I'm going to put my hand here. I'm going to pull this part of your clothing. I'm going to do this, and we worked it out like a dance routine.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I'm going to go away now and just go over there and get a bit, I'm going to get, I'm going to turn my head into being, I'm going to get into psycho mode. And I came back and we filmed the scene. I said, I'm going to go away now. And in those days I was smoking. I said, I'm going to have a cigarette, calm down, come back and have a cup of tea. And I said, you okay? And we're checking and all the time. And I remember there was a moment where we were filming the scene, we finished and the director said, could you just hold it there? And she just patted the back of my hand and I squeezed her hand and we knew we were okay. Because it was a very dark, but again, we finished. The director said, "Are you two okay? Let's, we'll take you back. We'll get you we had a minibus that we were using as a crew bus, and we went back, sat down there. We were given something nice to eat, cup of tea. He said, right, there's a little television on there. Put that on and watch some television, chill out, and left us alone and we just chatted away then. But it was the crew sort of talked us down.
It's that support network, isn't it? It's the people around you.
It is, and it's a very interesting thing, that all these lovely actors and everything that we've talked about, they've all had to go to those dark places, and it's a challenge, but for what you're doing to come back to what you're doing, it's a very, very important place to go, because it's not gratuitous. It has a lesson, and I mean,
unfortunately, the way our show is written and the way Callan directs in this particular instance, nearly everything is done by implication.
Clever.
So again, we're performing to children, so you cannot have physical, whether it's acting or not, you cannot have these things happen. But we use language and we use body language, so vocal language, verbal language, and body language to allude to things that have happened, things that are going to happen, relationships that exist that although you don't see the thing happen, you are aware. And that in a way is possibly even more powerful. And you use the word gratuitous. There is an element of that. You have more scope when your audience is older, when you have a selective opportunity to watch something. So if you put something on the TV, someone can turn it off. Yes, in a theatre or in that kind of scenario, you can walk away, but it's less of an easy thing to do, shall we say. Equally, the things we're performing will come with warnings, and parents are always notified by the schools beforehand, like, we are having this company come in to do this piece about this. The content is dark, but we feel it is necessary, and we know that it's done in a way that is appropriate but still impactful.
And not going to traumatize the children.
Exactly. But we still give the opportunity to say, no, I don't feel as a parent that my child should be witnessing this, or there is some reason why I'd rather they didn't. And equally, we have charities and companies associated with all our productions, and Reflex do this very well, charities that come in and oversee things and say, that's accurate, that's true, that needs to be seen, no, this needs to, and they will always make sure that everything is absolutely spot on. And equally, if any flags come up, like if we have children say certain things or react in certain ways, we have the support network again there to make sure that is dealt with appropriately. So again, it's another very important thing, because if you do see these things happen because of it, it means that it's being found and being dealt with. So it's, in a big roundabout way, what I'm saying is these things are very important but equally important are the people around me and others in this position, like you were, like Evan Peters was, like so many performers will be, that actually your health and your safety are paramount. And I'm lucky, you're lucky, these people are lucky that they've been in those positions where actually, it's been done so well that it has the required outcome without the negativity for the performer. So yeah.
And it's also, I mean, you know, but looking at it purely from an actor's point of view, I mean, it's a very interesting acting experience to go to those dark places. I don't, you know, you do sort of, you know, look afterwards and go, I really learned something there. I've learned something about myself and learned something about how to survive that. And, you know, it's sometimes you go there, well, if you can go there, go that far, I you know, my technique is such that I can, you know, learn from it. So it's
there
it's
are
quite
roles,
humbling in a way, isn't it?
There are roles that will come up that are challenging, but are worth the challenge.
Yeah,
definitely,
absolutely. Absolutely.
And opportunities that you just have to go, there's a big picture here and I need to see it and I really need to go for it. And I'm lucky that I've had a few of those opportunities, as are you. So there we go. But anyway, let's brighten things up a bit. I tell you what, Drew, the best way we can brighten things up a bit, should we have a guest next week?
Oh, come on, let's have a guest. No, definitely.
I think we'll steer clear of me being a creepy, horrible whatever, and you and your past things. And next week we'll have someone fun, someone entertaining, someone lovely, as we always do. We've been so lucky with guests, and we should continue to be, I am sure. So should we do that next week?
I think so. Will you? You'll still be in Narnia next week, won't you, mate? So,
well,
you know, someone stepping out of your wardrobe. I mean, you know, I don't know where I was going with that.
No.
I had something in my head and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So
I had a sudden moment there where I had to check and look just to make sure the door didn't creep open. Oh God. That would really be an end to the whole conversations we've been having. But no,
you're not going to sleep tonight, mate. You're not going to sleep now.
No, next week I shall indeed come to you direct from tour, from digs. You'll be on the sofa, so that's fine. I'll be on the sofa. And we'll have someone else joining us just to make things even better.
Even better. Brilliant, mate.
Well, I can only raise my glass to that, mate.
Absolutely. Sam, have a fantastic week. Enjoy the rehearsals.
And you, well, not rehearsals because you're not here, but enjoy your week.
I will do.
The usual, everyone listening, watching, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed. Come back next week for me, him, and someone else. Cheers, everyone. See you later on.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Sam.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.